Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Gaming.
Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you. If you were playing, won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it. Boosie, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to
Right.
chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You
I'm back.
all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can
Alright,
help
cool.
with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet and I need some seconds. You say you have promiscuous ways. That was back in the day. I'll be a
I only had
that shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place. This nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and
old
deliver
school,
how
man.
it's feel. I can see it in her eyes.
Vintage, what is it? Early 80s, right? Late 70s, early 80s. Yeah. What's your first console? Wow. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. No doubt. I mean, it's not that far different. You know what I'm saying? So early 70s. So yeah, very old consoles. But I never owned the NES, but I knew a lot of people who did. So you know. We could afford what we could afford, so you know. Oh, I know all about that. I got some terrible war stories about trading in consoles. The last I traded in was the Turbo Duo with all its games to get a 3DO on launch. $700 for $699. That's all, but I got all the launch games. But that probably was not a good trade. Yeah. Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks
Rock.
podcast. Brought to
Crazy. Oh man. That is wild. Welcome everybody to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here with you today on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. Thank you everyone that is here. Thanks to those that are watching later and all of that jazz. I have a fantastic guest here today that is putting me on game right now. I'm a little thrown off. And I literally just got off of another podcast with 4GQ TV clowns. I was talking with Lemon, Flamish, Cerebral Paul. Really cool guys over there. Definitely go check out their channel. That's 4GQ TV. Really good guys over there. They keep the positivity. They also keep it moving, which is also good. But let me introduce you guys to this person that's putting me on game this evening, Mr. Pixel Bit G.
What's
What
up?
is happening this evening, brother? How are you doing? What's been going on with you?
I'm good, my dude. I appreciate you inviting me onto your wonderful podcast here, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready to get it rocking, man.
Yeah. Let's do that damn thing. Let's do the damn thing. All right, cool. So First thing I have to have you do, because this is what I have every guest that I have do at the very beginning, is sign yourself a little bit. Let everybody know where to find you. So gaming, social media platforms, whatever that you are willing to let people know about. Go ahead and let people know where they can find you.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter under PixelBitG, but it's at infinite 365252999. You can also find me on YouTube under PixelBitG. I have a non-existent channel on there with a couple of videos up there, but not a big thing. Sometimes you can find me on Double Barrel Gaming with Boom, and other times you can find me with my boy K. Asante and Everborn Saga on their channel. So I be around. I get around a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely. I see you with like slow mo backslap quite a bit, Gaming Forte. I mean, one of the main reasons I invited you on the show is just because of your community support. You're there. You're always there to you're not always there to agree, but you're just there to show the support, see where people are coming from, and to continue the conversation. And that is always something that is needed, whether it's video games or just everyday life with people. People need to get outside more. People need to be willing to listen to what other people have to say, whether they agree with it or not. Just take the time out of your day. It won't hurt. It costs zero money to be a good person. So I really appreciate what you do on that end. You seem to be a very supportive gamer all around, but one of the first questions I'm going to ask you real quick is like, do you don't take this wrong, but do you have like a preference of anything that you personally like play more than something else?
Of course, we all have our preferences. So yeah, I mainline Xbox and have for since the beginning of Xbox.
My man.
I've owned every PlayStation, so I rock. I rock. Pretty much, I buy every console. If something comes out, I want it. You know what I'm saying? So like, on my Twitter profile, basically says regardless of what platform is on, I want in. You know what I'm saying? But I prefer Xbox mainly because I came from the PC space. So I spend a lot of my time on PC gaming and Xbox.
Okay. What games are you currently playing right now?
Currently, I am rocking that Hi-Fi Rush that just came out.
Ooh, so fire. It's a good game.
It's actually, I mean, it's slick. I like the presentation of it. It's a good looking game. It's the rhythm based attacks is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? So turn this down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm enjoying it. I think it's a good game. I'm also playing Midnight Suns on Xbox Series X.
Oh, you like your turn based, huh?
Dude, I like as we talk, you'll see I play pretty much every genre. You know what I'm saying? I don't limit myself to like action or sports or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I like every genre. I just beat God of War Ragnarok on PS5.
Great game.
Yeah, I love that. I've always been a God of War fan. So like, while I do main Xbox, I've been rocking PlayStation since the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like PlayStation 1 day one. You know what I'm saying? So when God of War first came out, bruh, like back in the PS2 days, like hard body, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a memory card. I played that like the whole weekend. No memory card. The chick I was with at the time, I brought a system just to put it over her crib. You know what I'm saying? Like I was wilding out. Like the game was just fire. You know what I'm saying? But like the day I was gonna beat it, like right as I got to the last boss, I paused it, ran to the store, got a memory card because I'm like, I don't want to lose here and lose my memory. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely, you left that system on and we hit the stove.
Yeah, I played that game 3 days in a row. Right? So I rock God of War. So I just beat that. I'm debating if I want to go back and platinum it, but that's more of a time thing. And then on PC right now, I'm in the Sins of Solar Empire 2 beta, early access. So like I said, I'm all over the place. You know what I'm saying? They're all different genres.
Yeah, you're working right now, ain't you? You are outside working. I see you. Once the game came out, I don't know. I just couldn't stop playing God of War. I went on ahead and platinumed that sucker, knocked it out of the park. It's done, and I probably won't ever play it again.
Yeah, well, it takes some effort. You know what I'm saying? It took me It took me over 30 days to beat it, but I had like a lot of. I really have a lot of other stuff going on, so it's hard to get like a lot of time to game. But some games, I'm like, listen, I gotta black out. I gotta play. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely one of those games you gotta kind of black out and give it time. So
I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so that's pretty dope. But so we were talking a little bit before the show, and as I said, you were putting me on a little bit of game. I was just like, what is he talking about? Like what is this thing? So first of all, what up, Mr. Joanna Dark? I see you up in the chat. Thanks for popping through this evening. Thank you, everybody that's watching right now. Make sure you guys hit that like button. You know the deal. I don't need to repeat myself 8 million times. But anyways, this man right here, I asked him just like I ask every other guest when they first come on, onto the show or whatever. I said, "Yo, what was the very first console that you ever played, you ever had access to, that was like in your front room?" And this man hit me with something I don't even remember the name, bruh. Please remind me.
It is called the Aquarius.
Yeah, the Aquarius. What is happening right now? What is that?
It's like a I guess it kind of was like a mini computer, like a Commodore 64 before the Commodore.
Okay.
So the game that they had on it, like the one game I had was Dungeons and Dragons. So think of like like a Doom style corridor role playing game, and they had it on the Aquarius. Yep.
Wow. That's literally a console. Not only have I never heard of it, but I've never talked to anybody that's ever mentioned the Aquarius. So, wow. He said, Mr. Joanna Dark said it came out back in 83.
Oh, 1983.
Man, that's some time.
My uncle was an IT guy, so he had one. He got he got us one. You know what I'm saying? So that's like one of the first, like probably the first console I had. But then we had, I had the ColecoVision, I had the Atari. You know what I'm saying? But like in terms of my memory, like to me, I think that was the first one that we actually had. So yep.
Wow, that's that's pretty amazing in my opinion. But what I need to know now is, like, you just said that your uncle, right, was the one that purchased you that console.
Yeah.
Got it for the family. He had his own. Was he your driving factor into getting into video games?
No, but I mean, he gave me my first taste. But what got me into really into video games, even though I had those systems, was like in third grade. I went to they bused us to a different school, right? And I grew up in Brooklyn, so they bused us into like a financially better school district, you know what I'm saying, for the week. And they had computers, like I think the Apple II CE or something like that back in the days. And there was a strategy game on this computer. It was text based, like green screen, like the 2-color green screens. It was a text based, like real time strategy game with like castles and knights and like that kind of thing. There's no graphics to it, but it just fascinated my mind so much that once I saw that, it was like, yeah, I'm down with this. That not only did that get me into video games, but that also set my career path in software development. So, yep, Apple II CE. To this day, I do not know the name of that system, but I guess third grade it probably would be around that same time, right? Around 83 or somewhere around that era, around that year as well. So, yep. So I had multiple influences hitting me at the same time. Like, yo, games is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? So, yep.
Yeah, and this is like way before it was popular at all to be a gamer.
Oh, no. I mean,
it was actually the opposite, right? It wasn't. It was negative to be a gamer.
It was negative to be into any of that. I used to read Choose Your Own Path books. I was an avid reader growing up. You know what I'm saying? So, cats had words for that. You know what I'm saying? You got called names for being into those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't matter.
Mr. Joanna Dark's wondering if you had the Pippin.
I never had the Pippin. Nope, never had the Pippin.
I've heard of the Pippin, but the only reason I heard of it is because of Scottie Pippen. And I just and I just remember somebody bringing up the console Pippin, so I always were able to like put those two together. Like, oh, when somebody says the game console Pippin, I know exactly what they're talking about.
Pippen, 96. No. In the 90s, we'll go down that line, but like I was the king of the obscure consoles. So like, 3DO, PC Engine, like that's where I got most of my gaming love time at. You know what I'm saying? So if everybody else wasn't rocking it, yeah, I want to try that. I want something different.
So then here, this brings me to another fun question that I just kind of thought up off the top of my head. Out of all of those like obscure consoles or consoles that didn't, garner them as much attention, which one do you think is probably the most underrated or underutilized?
In terms of pure consoles, it's got to be the PC Engine. That's like, cats don't talk about TurboGrafx enough. It was doing big things back in those days. There's still a debate about who really created the whole console with CD thing. I still say it was PC Engine who did it first. They had that Hue card system. They had the little turbo, the Turbo Mini that used the same cartridge as the console. Like, PC Engine was doing some big things back in the days. You know what I'm saying? They had a dual 8-bit console. They had like not 2D, what is a stereo sound, which was a big deal at that time. So when
instead of just mono, everything was mono.
With that mono, I was on TurboGrafx with that stereo sound, and it had the nice Wi-Fi, hi-fi system. The wood grain joint. You know what I'm talking about? I had that running through there. Come on, you can hear me 6 floors down, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
he was booming.
They had like Gates of Thunder, Lords of Thunder, Slaughterhouse. Like, TurboGrafx was doing some things, man. So I think that's I listen to a lot of the shows. You rarely hear people talk about TurboGrafx.
Never,
you know what I'm
really.
saying? And that's like it was a great console. It really had a lot of great stuff. So that one, and then in the a slightly earlier space, for me, it'll be the Commodore 64. Like, Commodore, they was for the personal PC space at that time, they had amazing games. There was a lot you could do with it. There's a lot of classics that came from that. I think from the Karateka to Prince of Persia came off of there. You know what I'm saying? So like, Prince of Persia started on Commodore. Like, that's how old that franchise is.
That's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think if I recall right, it started on Commodore, and its design was kind of based off Karateka. So if you ever saw like a video of Karateka, they had like this really smooth motion for animations, for 2D animations at that time, and it had like this dope combat system. But it was basically what do you call those games now, where you play it and if you die the game's over. So it was like a one death kind of game, and it's a long game. You know what I'm saying? And it takes skills to beat it, but kind of dope games, man. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time on those games back in those days.
Man, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I mean, it's up to you, but I don't want this to be the last time I talk to you at all.
No doubt, brother.
I don't want this to be the last time because, man, I am soaking this in like a sponge right now. And I love learning stuff from the past of how the hell did I get here? Right. And you seem to garner a lot of that knowledge of just like, just because you have the experience behind it. It's not just a bunch of stuff that you read, but it's the experience that goes on with it that just makes it so much more intriguing to hear you talk about this stuff. Mr. What's up with all these misters in the chat? You got Mr. Inferno coming up in here. He said dropping in to shout out the homies. So what's up, Mr. Inferno? And then Mr. Joanne Dark comes back and says bonks fighting the streets of Street Fighter. Man, I mean, he's listening to you closely, right?
Well, Fighting Street. So their Street Fighter copy, and I'm not sure if Street Fighter initially was called Fighting Street, but when the PC Engine's CD came out, the first game they released on it was Fighting Street. And I don't know if you've ever played the first Street Fighter, but the controls are god awful. Okay? terrible. But it was like a really almost perfect recreation of Street Fighter on your console at home. It was very impressive at the time. But yeah, they had that. They had that. Then they had Wise 1 and 2 as their RPG. So I don't know if you ever played the Yi series.
No.
Ever heard of that Japanese RPG? So this is like one of the first RPGs that had full voice acting, right?
Okay.
Full voice acting back in the days,
which at that time was pretty.
That was unheard of. It was
Right.
unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So they have full voice acting, and then like halfway through, like it was a two disc game. You beat this one, which was Wide Story 1, and as it's transitioning into Wide Story 2, there was a full like 15-minute anime that played in between cutscene. And at that time, I'm probably like, I'm not sure, but I don't know my first son was born yet, but I'm older. I'm not young. I'm like in my late teens or whatever, or like I'm ready to go out of high school, whatever. But my mind was blown, bro. Like, because I was already in the anime and all that stuff, and it was like they had a full like anime thing with the music going on. I was like, yo, craziest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? So you should Google the Wise 1 and 2. I guess it's intro exit from Wise 1 and 1 to intro to Wise 2, just so you can see the video. It's very impressive for its time. So yeah, they were doing. Yeah,
history is just phenomenal. Love it.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
All right, so let's move on a little bit further.
Sure.
Where I want to stop real quick is one that you threw out that really like opened my eyes, because I own one personally right now, but man, it's so hard to find games for it, and that is the 3DO.
3DO.
Okay.
3DO.
You spent what, like $700 on that thing?
More than that, because I got all the launch games. I think they had like 10 launch games or something like that. So, like a fool, I took my PC engine and like had like 50 games, and took it to like, I think the shop was like Miss Ping on what's it, Albee Square in Brooklyn, right? There's a shop, and she did trading. So I'm like, y'all, because I was thirsty. I wanted a new console. I'm like, yo, let me get this, right? So she's like, oh well, you need this many games to do it, whatever. I traded in my entire collection. And I got that 3DO day one, and every game that came with it. Yep. And at the time, I thought like Panasonic.
So you had the Panasonic version?
Yeah. I got the Panasonic 3DO. I got the official tissue, the first model that came out. So they what they were doing at the time was interesting, because they had the Panasonic one. They were licensing out the technology to other companies, right? And then they also had a PC GPU card, right? So I don't know if you're familiar with that. They also had a PC card that went with it, so you could buy a Panasonic 3DO, like a GPU accelerator for your PC and play those games on your PC.
What?
Yes. So they were
really
like that was Trip Hawkins, right? The guy from EA. That was Trip Hawkins from EA who did that. You know what I'm saying? So they were thinking outside the box. You know what I'm saying? Like we got this technology, we got a format, and we're just trying to standardize it across console and PC. It didn't work, but the concept was dope. You know what I'm saying? So, yep, I brought him to that. I still have mine to this day, but it don't work.
You still got it to this day?
Well, I have just about every console I ever had post PC engine. I still have.
Oh my God, you are a maniac. Do you happen to have the Naughty Dog game that Mr. Joanna Dark said?
I mean, when I say son, that's Brooklyn talk. It's not no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? But of course, Way of the Warrior. Way of the Warrior. Yeah, that's where Naughty Dog started. You know what else started on 3DO? Crystal Dynamics.
Oh,
Crystal
right.
Dynamics. They had Gex.
Yep.
They had
Gex, that damn lizard.
Yeah, it had Gex, and that was fire. But Way of the Warrior. It was awful. Like, it was dope, but the 3DO controller was terrible. The D-pad was like a nightmare. Like, you could not get the moves to get out. You know what I'm saying? But for guys building a game in their garage, Come on, that was impressive. Very impressive. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what I really didn't like about the 3DO is how the controllers connected to each other.
Oh, the dongle inside, right?
You
you
plug
have
it
to like
into the controller.
it's
It's like
absolutely
daisy chaining
yeah,
all over the
exactly.
room.
So it was like super old technology. They were trying to merge it into the new tech. It was crazy, you know what I'm saying? But it was a dope idea. The best version of Road Rash to this
Oh,
day is
yes.
on the like nobody can't tell me no different. That Rusted Cage intro, right? The rock intro, that song Rusted Cage with the music video playing. What?
Was it
Couldn't tell me.
what was God damn, I'm trying to remember the bands that were on that CD.
They
Trying
had
to remember like Garden.
Soundgarden. I think
Yeah,
it was
Soundgarden. Thank you.
Soundgarden, yeah.
Yeah,
But they had
I
a lot
mean,
of these new up and coming bands. Like in terms of like music for that time, like we never saw anything like that, and we really haven't seen like bike action games like that. They don't do it like that anymore. EA
man, they
was like
need to.
they was doing some special things back then, but that version right there, to this day, I'll put that in my PC and emulate it because it's just a fire version. Just you can't
Speaking
beat
of EA, how about Need for Speed?
my Need for Speed history comes on PC. So
Oh, okay.
that's where I started like Need for Speed, that Hot Pursuit, the original Hot Pursuit.
Yes. That
Can't beat
was
it.
the first game I ever played on my PC. Oh, actually, I take that back. It might have been Microsoft Flight Simulator. But
Had to have
but but one of the first games I remember playing on my PC was that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit with what was that car that was in that game that was like it wasn't a real car, but it was in that game. I think it was like the El Diablo or something like that.
Oh no, I don't remember the cars.
They had that. They had the Lamborghini like Countach or something like that, whatever that's called. Diablo, the Lamborghini Diablo SV. I mean, they had some fantastic games on that console, and they're so hard to find. And if you do find them, they're an arm and a leg at this point.
Yes, very much so. Yep, very expensive.
All right, so got a little bit of the old school consoles taken down. Let's continue on into it. So now at this point, after the 3DO, other consoles are coming out. You got, the PlayStation that hit that hit the scene. You got N64 out there. I mean, when it comes to some of these traditional, more popular ones, which one was you reaching out for first?
So I was a Saturn guy.
So you're still on Sega at that time.
I was on Saturn. I went to the Dreamcast. Obviously, you had to have a Dreamcast, but I had the PlayStation 1 when it first came out as well. So I think in terms of time, I probably split pretty equally between PS1 and Saturn. So kind of like back and forth. But
which one
probably,
did you purchase first, though, between the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn?
I don't know which one came out first.
The Saturn, I believe. The Saturn came out first. I think they rushed it out to try to, beat out PlayStation because they knew PlayStation had some heat going on.
Yeah. So I got that first. So basically, at that time, you're talking like mid to late 90s or whatever. All right, hold on one second.
No, you good. These kids ain't been on the camera, so they wanted to they want to show out. They want to do their dance. I mean, my daughter does the exact same thing. Anytime I have a show going on, she comes up. And I'm doing like my stream. So then I have like my background down, kind of like he does right now. I have like the background away, and she likes to do her little like head peeping in, wave, and then she be asking, "Hey, yo, can I can I take your headset? Let me talk to them people. I was like, you don't even know these people. Get up out of my room. Get up out of here. But what up, Infinite Umbra? I see you up in the chat, brother. Thank you so much for stopping through. I appreciate you, brother. Just kicking it here with Pixel Bit, talking some old school games before we move on to some of the newer topics and stuff like that. But you said you weren't sure which one you actually had first, but I'm guessing it if
Saturn first and the Saturn got first. So basically,
Okay.
at that point, I was getting consoles on launch, like every console on launch. So Saturn first. So I had the entire virtual series, right? Had to have all those. What else do I remember for that? I think Shining Force was on that console. So like, I think they had the Shinobi was dope on that console, as well as was that terrible Street Fighter on that? It was the Jean-Claude Van Damme version of Street Fighter.
Oh shit!
Come on, I know. Because I got it. I still have that console. I still have that console, yo.
Suckers talking about this joint right here.
Hey, yes. Yes.
This joint is rough.
But look, they had Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. It's Street Fighter. Easy purchase. So they beat a lot of us in the head on that one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Saturn did some things.
Man, yeah. They definitely had some different stuff. A lot of people want to forget that that's where Tomb Raider made its debut.
I was just about to say that. Yup. Tomb Raider started on that console first.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people forget that though, because it was so big. Once the PlayStation came out, it just really completely overshadowed the Sega.
Yeah.
After really a little bit, but okay, so at what point did you say, "All right, Saturn, we're done"?
I mean, for me, these consoles get support till they die, right? Like, just because I purchased the PlayStation didn't mean I stopped supporting my Saturn. You know what I'm saying? If a game came out and I want to play it, I'm gonna get it. So back then.
But how did you feel knowing, like, because when the original PlayStation came out, I'm sure a lot of like new school people don't know that thing didn't have any analog sticks, right? It was just a directional pad. X, triangle, square, circle, start, select. That's it.
Right. It's kind of like going backwards a little bit. Yeah.
Once you got the analog sticks for the PlayStation, with the little red light that stays on there, you can turn it on, turn it off for whatever reason. You never really needed to hit that button. But how did you look at the Sega Saturn because at that time, it pretty much had its it had, fairly, old controls when you compare it to an analog controller.
So didn't the Saturn still have is it Knights? Didn't they had a controller for the Saturn that had an analog?
They did have an analog controller for Saturn, but I think it only had one analog.
Right, it had one analog stick. Right, and that
kind of like the Dreamcast.
Well, and also to the N64, right? It had a similar with the one analog stick in the middle kind of thing, if I remember. So that one, they had was it Knights, something like that? It's like a jester flying through the night, and he's like floating through the sky. And through
are you talking about that game made by Sega? The Team Sonic guy, right?
Yeah.
God, Mr. Okay, Mr. Joanna Dark nailed it. I knew he was coming. I knew he was coming in the chat. And he nailed it. Nights into the Dreams. For Nights.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
I bought that game not that long ago, and I put it into my Saturn, and it was too scratched, so I had to take it back, and I dropped $70 on that joint. I was mad because I know that's like one of the best games on Saturn.
It is. Yep. It's a beautiful demonstration of what the hardware could do. But so in terms of controls, yeah, I mean the there's a lot of things about the original PlayStation that was like more forward thinking than other consoles, right? The first thing is like the day one you get that Ridge Racer, right? You find out you could take out the Ridge Racer disc and put a music CD in. Mind blown, right? So now it's basically saved the entire game into memory, and now it's just whatever's in the disk drive it plays. So you rocking this game, it's almost arcade perfect visually, and you got your own music. Come on, that was crazy. So when PlayStation first came out, yeah, I was hyped. They had Tenchu, they had what's that fighting game they had?
What are you talking about? Saturn for Virtua?
No, the first the PlayStation, the original PlayStation.
Oh, Tekken?
No, not Tekken. Before Tekken, they had two fighting games. They had Bloody Roar? They had Bloody Roar, and then they had like this Toko Shinden? Something Toko Shinden. Oh, Battle Arena to Shinden.
Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah,
So-
I've heard of that. I've actually never played that game though.
Go get yourself a copy of that game.
Is it fire?
Fire.
To this day.
To this game. That game is fire.
All right,
Like-
all right. I gotta do it. I mean, I work at a game store, so I'll see it at some point.
Yeah, they had some real joints. So, yep. I was deep in PS1 land when it first came out.
That's what's up. What were probably like the top 3 games that you played on the PS1?
Man. Like I said, Battle Arena to Shinden was one of them because I was heavy into the fighting game scene. Did Metal Gear come out during that era?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely Metal Gear because that Psycho Mantis battle will forever be peak classic. And Tenchu,
okay. Tenchu was lit. That was nice.
Tenchu was like at that time, you really didn't have like we had Shinobi, right? We 2D side scrolling ninja kind of games, but we never really had like being a ninja in a 3D space.
Right.
And really like, climbing on the buildings and taking cats out, like, Tenchu.
It gave you a different feeling of stealth that wasn't available prior.
But prior to, there was no stealth. Not really. Like the closest thing we had to stealth back in the days was like Russian attack, right? Where you hide in the closet, you run, you're walking forward, you hide in the closet, the guy runs past you, and then you shoot him in the back. That was the best you was gonna get. So there really wasn't a concept of stuff like that before 3D space games. So
absolutely, 4GQ TV, Mr. Italian Clowns came through.
Wow.
Came through and said, "Ham, Pixel, Bit, G, what's up, guys?
What's up, guy?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I was just on his podcast right before I made it here. Fantastic show that they put on. Really fantastic crew. They do all types of stuff on that channel, whether it has to do with movies, TV shows, video games, interviews with people. I mean, they do a really good job, and they have a really tight-knit crew over there. I highly recommend that you guys go over there, check out 4GQ TV, give them a sub. They're available every week. Thursdays, they obviously do their shows just like I do my shows on Thursday, but they also have plenty of other different stuff that you can check out over there. So make sure you guys go on ahead and go do that. But keeping it moving. So PlayStation, fantastic console. I don't think that's deniable. Everybody knows that. But at within that same generation, were you dabbling with Nintendo at all? Because that seems like the one thing I haven't really heard you mention is a whole lot of Nintendo stuff really at all.
Because I don't have, besides for my kids, I don't have Nintendo history. Like, most of my time with Nintendo would have been like the Game Boy, right? But those Game Boy games, go over there. You're gonna survive. Go sit. Okay.
Just like my daughter. Hey, I hurt myself. Can you please call the ambulance?
Right. Right. But like most of my Nintendo time would have been like more so Game Boy games like Pokemon and stuff like that. But let me think. During PS1, what Nintendo system was out at that time? It wasn't the N64.
64. It was a 64.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So for N64 during that time, I had I played Donkey Kong, loved it. The Mario from that time was fire. Killer Instinct, of course. Um, what else they had? Mario. Oh, the Zelda, the gold cartridge Zelda from that time was fire.
I still have that box, actually.
I still
The
have
gold
all
box with the window in it.
Yeah, yeah. So I still have all those games. And actually, my N64 is still hooked up, so it's still functional. But for N64, I think what I remember the most from that era would have been, Donkey Kong because like Red was just doing big things, and Killer Instinct because you really didn't see that almost 3-dimensional looking visuals in a 2D side scrolling game. It just wasn't a thing. So that the way that they recorded the images for that game was like it just was beyond anything you had seen on the console at that time. And so that's like right before the 3D explosion. And if you compare it, like their models were higher quality than the current 3D models, right? Because 3D was still kind of limited, well, very limited in what it could really do. So, Nintendo was making the most of it with that console. So that was a great Nintendo console. You know what I'm saying? I think I probably only had like 20 games, 20 or 30 games for that console. But I was never a huge Nintendo guy. But I did.
So
enjoy
let's
those
break
games.
that down real quick. Like, because I'm curious, like, how you have all these consoles. You got a Commodore, you got consoles I ain't even freaking heard of before with the Aquarius. You have you're rocking the Turbo Graphics, 3DO. You're spending $700+ but you're just like you see the like the Nintendo's right here and you're just like looking right by it. Like what like what happened within the industry or your life or like why did it scorn you to the point where you're just like, you know what, it doesn't matter if you guys have the best or whatever or you guys are known for the best, I ain't messing with you.
No, it's not about being scorned. It's about the type of games that they produce at the time, right? So
Sure.
by then, I think you're already into the 90s. At that point, I'm a PC gamer more so than anything else, right? So I have the consoles, but I'm really more so with PC. Nintendo is more for like my son, like my kids play that. You know what I'm saying? They got the
You
games
said
that
Nintendo's for kids.
well, yes, my oldest son is 30 years old. All right, he's a Nintendo guy. He grew up in Nintendo. I didn't grow up in Nintendo. I grew up with Atari. There's a difference, right there. That 1 decade difference of being born in the sevens or the eights makes a lot of difference, right?
Yeah.
I in the Atari era. So for me, Nintendo was like, all right, that's nice, right? But it didn't hit me as hard because by then I'm looking at like I'm looking at the PC stuff and different flavor of games altogether than what Nintendo produces. So while I love Nintendo, I love what they have. It never was like, yeah, I gotta have it, like, for me. But I always had the consoles because it's like, oh, I'll play that with my son. You know what I'm saying? He'll enjoy it. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It's just the types of games weren't for you. It had nothing to do with any beef or any situation that happened, or you weren't fanboying. You just didn't care about
Back
it.
then, when I was younger, right? I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have the original Nintendo NES, right? So maybe if I had that, I would have grown into a Nintendo guy. But I didn't have that, so in that time, you kind of just had friends, and if your friends had those consoles, you would play those consoles. You know what I'm saying? So you wouldn't be ultrally attached to it, but you get the opportunity to get access to it. So we kind of played what we could. So then, as I got older, and I was like, well, I love gaming, and I'm gonna work so I can buy all the games I want. I'm gonna buy all the games I want, but I still want to be in a situation. But so basically, it was like I grew into a point where I want to own every console, so I'm gonna own every console. regardless. You know what I'm saying? So even for me, there's not a real console beat for me because I'm gonna buy every console anyway. I'm just gonna enjoy it. Right? I want to play the games that I want to play. So if they have the games that I like, I'm gonna buy it. And I'm gonna buy the game for it. So that's it.
Do you still hold that sentiment to this day?
I buy every console day one.
No beef with nothing. No care.
Don't care.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's true gamer right there, y'all.
I may have beef with the company's business practices, but for the sheer what's the word for the the hobby itself, right, of gaming. I love gaming. Period. You know what I'm saying? So it is. I don't know the last time since the '90s that I didn't get a console on day one. I can't remember it because I don't let it happen. Like literally, if it's coming
You
out,
said I
want
don't let it happen.
Dude, remember when PS3 came out and it was like $5.99 and people was losing their mind? That's the best Sony console ever made. Come see me.
Ooh.
Period. Hands down. That console, that initial launch PS3, regardless of the price, that console was Sony saying we got love for our fans at that time. That's the Sony I love the most. Like we got love for our fans so much that we're gonna give you full back and pack for both PS2 and PS1. In the box.
Yep.
No emulation, no nonsense. We giving you all at day one. That to me, that was worth $5.99.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't. You can't really dispute that. I mean, and that. I mean, as hard as it may have been for like the devs to make games and stuff like that. I mean, as you just said, that console, the way they rolled it out with the backwards compatibility, the ability to go through links or Linux on it. It had HDMI before the 360 did. It had Blu-ray on it. It was like a love note to its fans, like, hey,
gaming and technology, like that console, it did it. It did it all. They took it too far with the cell processor. In terms of like what they were trying to provide for their customers out the box, you can't beat that. Like you couldn't beat it. So I have the original PS3, and I personally don't respect nobody who claim they're a Sony guy. Like you don't got the original PS3. You don't have that. Not the bootleg ones they made afterwards. Not those. Not the bootleg ones. I don't want those. I want the original that had back compat. If you don't have that, come on, son, you ain't serious. Like that was the real console. That was a great console. I saw what you did. Go sit down.
Yeah. So yeah, that OG PS3 was. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, it's not like crazy hard to come across right now, but they're expensive. They still go for around $400.
Yeah.
Okay. And B, once you spend that $400, how long is it going to work?
I use mine sparingly, but it still works. I use mine sparingly.
Yeah, I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first things to go out on that thing is a PS2 reader.
Yes. Yeah. Drive reader issues are a big problem. But to be fair, that problem was the same with 3DO. First thing that went on my 3DO was that. First thing that went on my original Xbox was that as well. So the drive technology of that time obviously wasn't as good as the technology is of today, right? So those things the lasers died. But on some of them you actually can replace them. It's not that hard to replace them, but on some it is. Listen to me. Sit over there. Sorry about that, yo.
No. You're fantastic. You're good. So yeah, I mean, you summed that up quite a bit. Was that your favorite console of that generation? Was that the PS3, or were you leaning more into 360? Because you said earlier that you've been pretty much like you tied that knot with Xbox for a minute.
No doubt. Yeah. No. So for the PS3 era, I was rocking hard with 360, but it depended on the game. You know what I'm saying? Like Metal Gear was only on PS3. You got to have a PS3 for that. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have that console day one. But like what I do, like even what I do now, right? I will play most of my third parties on Xbox. Well, not last gen because PlayStation 4 was better hardware, so you play your third parties on that as well. You know what I'm saying? But then, like for PS3, the 360 was better at most games, so you play most of your third parties on there, and then buy every exclusive that Sony puts out straight up. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I jump between the consoles, and I had the GameCube during that. I think that's around the same era too, right? GameCube might be around that same era.
GameCube was PS2 original Xbox era.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know what Nintendo console had at that time. I think I was rocking with the. I didn't buy the Wii. That's the one console I skipped in the last like 2 or 3
Like on
decades.
purpose.
Yeah, I don't got nothing I want. You know what I'm saying? But the handheld they had was dope. The
Wii
one
U?
with no, not the. I got the Wii U. The flip handheld they had. The DS.
Oh
the
yeah,
3DS.
the DS or there's 2DS, 3DS, yeah, all those.
Yeah. DS consoles was fire, so I had all of those. You know what I'm saying? Like I was constantly getting the DS consoles, so I'll just jump between. Like I don't know how I did it back in the days to find that kind of time, but I would jump between consoles and PC, just like at will. You know what I'm saying? But
sounds like you liked Nintendo, but you were just mobile with it.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. More so for their mobile, I had more of a love for their mobile consoles than their the home consoles. So.
Gotcha. All right, so we kind of skipped over the PS2, or the PS2 original Xbox and GameCube. I'm going to keep this very specific on this part, so then we can move on to the Xbox One, PS4, and then finally to the current generation, because we got about 6 minutes until I like to transition out of this subject. So, so specifically, I don't even want to talk about PlayStation or GameCube right now. I want to know why the Xbox locked you so tightly, because you said since they came out, that's been pretty much your primary jam.
Yeah, no doubt. So with Xbox, what got them over was I was following Halo development from the Apple days. Right, so I was paying attention to Halo.
So you were in that. You were in that way early then.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know who these dudes is. I don't know what this Halo thing is, but it looked fire. So every time they showed it, I was on it. Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? When Microsoft purchased them, I'm like, okay, like that's serious. You know what I'm saying? I got to pay attention. But also because of my PC background, like I was a big like Doom and Wolfenstein guy, especially for the Wolfenstein multiplayer. Like that was my thing. So Microsoft was also getting PC games on console, right? Good ports of PC games. Nobody else was really doing that, right? Consoles was console. They had their own games. They did their own thing for the most part. You didn't really get a lot of. You might have got some console games that moved to PC, but I don't remember getting a lot of PC games being brought down to console. So that was their focus, which for me was like, all right, well, I'm already a PC dude. I already rock with PC. They're dealing with PC as a console, basically. I'm messing with that. So I got that first Xbox. I loved it. Like the things you could do, and that was crazy. Like being able to rip your music and then have your music play with your game at the same time. Like console wasn't really doing that. Like PlayStation had did it a little bit, but only on that one game. They didn't really make it a thing for them. Whereas Xbox kind of made
it. The quality of the rip was really good. I mean, you could. I used my Xbox as my like people back in those days, had like 5 disc changers and they had all these different things.
A 50 disc changer.
I mean, you could, right? I mean, there were those. There were those add-ons to the amplifier that had that little circle thing on the front of it where it dropped down and you'd slip a disc in there and it just like have like 100 discs or something like that changed around, and all you had to do was hit the code and hopefully you remember the code, right, to which disc went to what, or else you'd be looking around there for a hot minute. But Xbox almost became like your like before MP3s were like MP3 players were hot or anything. Xbox was like the home MP3 player, damn near. I mean, obviously you're putting the disc in and everything like that and ripping it, and that might take a minute. It took like, anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour to rip a CD on there.
2-speed drive, so if it's an hour-long music, it's 30 minutes to copy.
Yeah, so I mean, it took a hot second to put it on there, but the quality of it was great. I'm telling you, every time when I was getting ready for school every morning, I just turn on my TV, turn on my amplifier, and turn on my Xbox because I always had jams. I had a crazy amount of music on my OG Xbox, and it was just so good. It was just so good. And then on top of it, which I brought this up about 12 different times or more than that on other Behind Them Sticks episodes, is, man, that 2K, you score, you get a first down or score a touchdown or catch an interception, you got your own jams.
Come on. See, I was a 2K guy from Dreamcast.
Facts.
Right? So I rolled right into
Randy Moss, right? Randy Moss. Exactly, AI.
Exactly. Yeah. So I rolled right into the Xbox version of that. So when they had the music, come on, you had to have every jam on there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get a touchdown, boom, your music play. Plus, it makes your boys even more salty. Like, don't play me at home, son. Play me at home.
I tell you, 2K5 was one of the first times I looked at PlayStation as inferior. NFL did that just because I don't know if you ever played 2K5 on PlayStation, but like the halftime was just pictures. It didn't have the gameplay.
Really?
No. So you remember Chris Berman, or what was it, Chris or Steve? I don't remember. I think it's Chris.
Steve Berman.
Is it Steve Berman?
Steve Berman. Maybe it's Chris. Go ahead.
But anyways, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling. That guy. Yeah. When he was on the halftime stuff, you would see it on Xbox in like live action. Like you would see your play that you did 10, 15 minutes ago, that long 80-yard touchdown that you threw, you would see that played back from a different camera angle and whatnot. And he'd be doing the playback as it's happening. But when you play it on PlayStation, he does the voice playback, but it's only picture snippets of what happened during that play. So, yeah, thank you. Steve Berman, Dragonheart Yobi came in and corrected me. Thank you so much. But yeah, it only showed you snippets of things that happened. And I was just sitting there because I owned a PlayStation before I purchased my Xbox. Man, first of all, I'd made the transition once I went to my boy's house and played Conflict Desert Storm, and he turned on Better Days by Tupac. And I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, I was like, what is happening right now? And then I was huge into football, so I played all the Maddens. I played I've been playing Madden since Sega. Yeah, way back since the Genesis, when you had the yellow tab on the side of the thing, just like Road Rash and all the other EA games. Yeah, I've always been huge into football. Played Madden, played 2K a lot, especially on the Dreamcast. You only could play 2K for a while there on the Dreamcast because Madden wasn't making games for Sega. They had some like battle go on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really big into it. Bought 2K5 for my PlayStation 2 because it was only $20, right? And because they were they were being so damn disrespectful to Madden and EA because they just hated their guts.
Like they had to. Madden had the name, but they had a better game.
Oh man, they had such a better game.
Madden still is missing features, but I don't want to go there.
Oh man, Madden decided to walk backwards, right? Because they missing features that they been had in in like Madden 07 and stuff like that, like some dope features are missing. But anyways, people don't want to hear that, especially my boy K Mega. He hate hearing that from me. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, I've always been big into that. Once I got that on PlayStation 2, I was like, yo, this doesn't. I don't remember it being like this over on Xbox over at my boy's house. I was like, I remember it being a little bit smoother, a little bit faster. Obviously, he had the tracks and whatnot, but what got me to switch was seeing not only having the music on there because I thought that was dope. That was probably the main reason I switched, but one of the other main reasons was seeing that halftime show and just being disappointed, being like, man, the other console does it better. And I got this piece of shit. I mean, that's what was going through my mind. I mean, I love the PlayStation 2, but at that time, I mean, I was big into football. I played football, since I was a little boy. So like back in 2005, I was heading into, or shoot, I was towards the end of high school and whatnot. So that is actually 2004 when the game came out. I was a sophomore. And I wanted that. I wanted the best that I could get. So I took every game I had for PlayStation. I took the console itself, took it to Software Etc., which turned into GameStop, and got me an Xbox. Got me a used Xbox. And bruh, I was that to this day, I still say the original Xbox is the most underrated console of all time, in my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. That console was pretty powerful. They had like 720p games on there.
Made no damn sense.
Oh, sorry, 720i because they had it interlaced. But they had 720i games back in those days. So they was doing some things like that Matrix game on there was fire. Like they had, the original Xbox.
You talking about Enter the Matrix?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. That game was wild. Oh man. I'm gonna be honest. I mostly played third party games on my Xbox, right? But they just did it better. Especially when I remember specifically going to either it was Blockbuster, Best Buy, Hollywood Video, Audio Visual, any place. And the first thing I would do when I flipped over the case is I'd look for custom tracks.
Yep.
First thing I would do. Bruh, I re-beat Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. I beat them all on the PlayStation, but it was a whole new experience when I could jam out to Twista listening to Overnight Celebrity while I'm riding down the street. You know what I'm saying? That was something else. That hit different, right? Right before I'm going in the strip club, I'm listening to some Overnight Celebrity or something like that. Just booming it. Man, that was the time. Crunk Juice was out back then with Lil Jon. I was bumping that joint. Oh yeah. But anyways, dang man, I spent almost 10 minutes talking about that. We're supposed to be on to the next subject, but before we go into that, let me ask you real quick. Xbox One generation, PS4 generation. You said the PS4 was more powerful, which I mean that's just facts. That's just what it is. Where were you at? How did you feel about Xbox during that time? Because it just came off of what was its hottest console just the generation prior. Where was your head at when you seen that G3 and all you heard was TV?
That's the thing though. See, I didn't see it that way because I'm being older, right? To me, it's like that makes perfect sense. I want my console connected to my TV and available through my TV feed all day, every day. Because I use my console for everything. I don't want to have to change channels, like for my family and all that. I don't want them to have to change channels. My wife to have to worry about that. Nah, just hit that box on the Xbox. Talk to the Xbox. So to me, sound like a good idea, right? At the cost of power, that's the problem, right? But in terms of the technology, I use Connect. I use the TV thing. So it didn't bother me nothing like that. I was confused that everybody else was so salty about it. But different age group, right? So I'm seeing it differently, right? The always connected thing. What does that mean to me? I'm always connected. I've been always connected since the 90s. It don't mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like once there was that connection, I could get connected. I was connected. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? The digital gaming stuff. I'm a
like
PC
DRM.
Gamer. Yeah, but I'm a PC gamer. When's the last time you bought a disc for your PC? I don't know. They don't sell them in the stores. We don't buy discs for PC. We just
Who even has a disc drive on their PC anymore?
I have on mine, but that's the rip thing.
Of course, your ass got a diss track.
So that on one of them. I don't have it on my big rig, but I have it on my small one, right? So, but it's like, so for me, the initial reveal of it didn't hit as negatively for me because I was going to use those features, so it didn't make a difference to me. So, I was personally a little disappointed with the gaming community, but at that point, I realized that the community had moved from where it started at, which is just a bunch of nerds, to being a mainstream industry, right? And you got to come to grips with that, right? So, like, for me, I can hear the tech talk and be like, "Oh, that's dope," but from mainstream person doesn't hear that. They hear TV, TV, TV. There's a difference. They're different groups, right? So, I think at that point I kind of realized, like, wow, gaming is mainstream. It's just these dudes ain't nerds. So, it is what it is. So I was still down with Xbox. I was down with Xbox One. I got like 5 of them. You know what I'm saying? I was down with it.
Damn.
Yeah, every room. Because I was into like, yo, connect, do this, connect, do
I
that.
thought I was out of my mind with 3, but you had 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I'm a tech head. So for me, it's like, oh, that's tech. Don't get me wrong. I still had like 3 PS3s, but any generation that there's both consoles, I'm always going to have more Xboxes. It is what it is.
Oh, damn.
It's what it is.
Right.
Right now, I got 4 Xbox series, 2 S's, 2 X's, and I got 2 PlayStation. It is what it is. I'm always going to have more.
It is what it is. Golly, you are out there sporting. You are really sporting. But I gotta know where your head is now with the climate of gaming. Obviously, it's at an all-time high. Everybody and they mama heard of video games at this point, and a lot of them mamas is playing some video games at this point.
That's right.
So I want to know, like, what you think with, the way that these companies are kind of doing business right now. Because as you're seeing, a lot of these companies, whether you want to talk about Tencent, Embrace Group, or like, what like NetEase, or if you want to talk about like, PlayStation and Xbox and whatever with their acquisitions and whatnot. Like, do you see that as something that bothers you at all? Or is it just something that, just kind of comes with the territory and you just don't mind it? Like, from a person that's been around gaming for so long and have seen like the grassroots of stuff coming up and, some going out.
Yep.
How do you feel about this consolidation kind of era of gaming?
So for me, I think like we've seen consolidation in the industry before. At least I have, right?
Well, that's how PlayStation. that's how PlayStation did their thing, right?
But not just that. I'm not even gonna go at PlayStation. How did EA get to be EA? They were just EA. They had one company. They didn't have a bunch of other companies under them. But they scooped up a bunch of companies. There was consolidation previously, right? EA blew up that way. Square grabbed a bunch of people. 2K, right? 2K used to be just a sports franchise company. That's it. They made sport games. They didn't make anything else. They scooped up a bunch of developers. Go sit down. They scooped up, right? They scooped up a bunch of developers, right? So what happens in the industry, from my perspective, right, is that you get to a point where everybody gets very big, right, and then big companies get grabbed up by other big companies. That's just how it works. But then there's always smaller. Go sit down. Go sit down. There's always smaller companies that are on their way up to take their places, right? So for me, consolidation isn't a big deal because it's like you see these big companies are starting to stagnate anyway, right? Because Activision is a perfect example of a company they are focused on a single type of game because they're so big that they can't afford to have games fail, right? They can't take risk anymore, right? So they're giving you the same kind of games. Look at Activision's catalog back in like the PS 2 era. How many different various type of games they used to make? Now, right? That they used to make, right? So they no longer can do that because it's too risky now to make those to take those kind of risks. But you move them under a bigger company, you give more room for them to take risks. I mean, it just is what it is, right? So I don't see like doom and gloom right now for companies being consolidated. I also don't think that you're going to get every single company consolidated, right? Because there's a limit, and everybody can't afford to take on that kind of weight, right? So like a company like say Ubisoft, um, they're not going to move because they have 12,000 or 20,000 employees. They're,
Mhm.
they're decentralized all over the world, and they only make 3 type of games, right? So
Which
there's
is
no,
wild.
which is
That many
wild,
employees only
right?
make a
Right,
couple games.
right. But it's again, right? It's a company that is so large they can't take a risk, right? But they're in a bad situation because they're so big. Who could scoop them up? They have to cut a lot of staff before anybody can say, "Yo, it makes sense to buy Ubisoft." Just doesn't make sense right now. So, I think Activision is a to me that's a rare scenario, right, where a company is put in a bad situation and decide they want to sell out. Um, but I don't know if we'll see a lot more of it, at least not from the larger companies. But I do think we're going to see smaller companies taking over, like more independent companies, single companies, not publishers. After this, if it goes through or not, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's bad for the industry. I think that the industry needs look, Nintendo and Sony are entrenched companies, right? You need competition because if you don't get it, you get what you saw last year from Sony, where you get greed, right? Where they can raise prices on 3-year-old hardware. Who does that? A company that is running shit. They could, hey, what you gonna do about it, right? You want this? There it is. Hey, that upgrade, $5, $10 for that cheap upgrade. Who does that, right? Like it's that's what control of a market allows you to do. But you can't do that if you got heavier competition. So my perspective is one, I want to see more competition in the industry in general. I don't care how it comes. I just want to see more competition. And then two, I'm all for the services. I know it's crazy. Some people, oh, services. I'm all for services. I grew up on services. Right? I grew up with Blockbuster. So for me, services is fine. That's a
It's just
service.
yeah, that was just a physical service compared to a digital one.
Exactly. So
It was
like
actually harder. It's just way harder. Why are people mad at things are easy? That's weird to me.
people mad that it's easier to access games. Like when we grew up, you was lucky to get a game a year. You was lucky. These kids, but once services came out, when my son was younger, my oldest son, we had Blockbuster, so he could get games because we got Blockbuster. So I just give him service, from that. My youngest sons now, they got Game Pass. They get games off of service. So for me, it's like the industry is moving in that direction because every other industry has moved in that direction. I can't. I as a technologist, I don't fear change. Right? You can't. Right? And I used to say that to people when we first were going digital. I remember these arguments back in the late '90s about moving from CD uh,
Cartridge.
vi- from vinyl
Oh, from
to
oh, you're talking about music.
but yeah, from vinyl to that, right? Like people was complaining, oh, the music is different, it's not lossless, all this other bullshit. Like, who care? Like, I, the ability to have 1,000 songs in my pocket is worth more to me than a little bit of sound loss, right? Convenience, but that's a technologist mindset, right? So I don't mind industry shifts, right? I think it's natural because if they don't shift, they die. I mean, it just is what it is, right? The console industry is stagnant. It has been for a long time, right? There's only been, you look at the sales of every console past the PS2, and for all the consoles combined, what you get is almost the same number every time. That's a
All
problem.
right.
300 million. So
That's man, you hit me with a whole lot of information right there. And I mean, all that is wild. But one thing I want to move to before we get into the kind of quick hitter questions that I have for you is, or I guess this is like two questions really. So first of all, for the first question is like, how do you see the layoffs that are happening throughout the tech industry, not just Microsoft, but within the tech industry? Do you think that that's gonna that's hurting anything technology wise, or do you just think they're kind of, because where I kind of look at it is maybe the job is done in certain areas where they're just kind of like, we need to trim up a little bit, especially with, the beginning of the year, you got investors and stuff like that you need to talk to. You need to show that, hey, we're doing our best to continue to come up. Even as big as Microsoft is, they still want to show that they're working in the right direction, no matter what. So where is your head at when it comes to these layoffs that's been happening with like Facebook? What was it? What was the other one? The other one I'm thinking of, other than Microsoft, there's Facebook. Amazon had a huge one, like 18,000 employees or whatnot. So where's your head out with this? I even believe just last year Sony left like axed a couple thousand employees or something like that as well. Yeah. So it's not any one specific companies; it's the industry that's doing this.
Oh yeah, and it's, yeah. I mean, it is. I work in a technology. I work for a large technology firm. So, we're currently on pins and needles trying to figure out who's going to get cut. Right? It is what it is. So I think it's trash. I mean, I think these companies have enough money to mitigate the downturn in the market, but by the same token, the realities of COVID have passed. Right? Companies ramped up. They ramped up hiring 3 years ago because everybody was home, and then now everybody's not home. So that staff has to go somewhere, right? So I think it sucks, but the technology industry is cyclic. So anytime there's been a recession, even though we're in a recession, even though nobody wants to admit that we're in a recession right now, right? So the last time we were in a recession like this was like I guess the middle of like was it 20? I want to say 2005, 2006, somewhere in that time frame. So I was in financial tech during that time as well, and they had downturned and basically got rid of all their U.S. employees and offshored everybody. Right? That was because it was the middle of recession. Right? So I was doing consulting at that time, and consultants survived, but we took hits. Right? It was like, hey, you want to work? Take a price cut. It is what it is, right? So anytime the countries go into recession, technology companies always take an opportunity to cut staff because they look at it like, oh well, the rest of our staff could do it. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter because it's all about the bottom line. So it's cyclic. I think once the economy shifts, that some of the jobs will come back because it's just kind of how it works. But it's rough for everybody who's going through it. Like I lost a business during, last couple of years because of recession and cutbacks and stuff like that. Your industries go away, right? But
anybody like it's either uphill or down here is never really a plateau.
Well, yeah, it's never a plateau. And if you work in technology, you always have to be on your toes. Like it's not when it's not if, it's when, right? So you're constantly reimagining yourself, learning new technologies, trying to figure out what the next market trend is going to be, even in development, right? Like, C# was hot a couple of years ago, Java's hot now. Like, you got to move with it, and I don't, there's nothing we can do about it, but it sucks to say it, but it's also kind of normal, which is, it is what it is, but it is kind of normal. So I don't look at it like, oh, Microsoft's doing this. They're all doing it. And it's not just it's the big ones and the small ones. Any software developers, technology companies are cutting staff right now.
Okay, well, just to dig a little deeper into that subject, like I said, I had one last question that had to do with this subject. I want to know where your head is at, because I'm sure, I know I've seen you just last week watching DPS with Gaming Forte and Slow Mo Backslap, and everybody was talking about this last week, and that is 343 with Halo right now, campaign and stuff like that. I want to know: do you personally think are you standing with everybody else in this, situation and thinking that 343, which they actually came onto Twitter and let people know, hey, we're still working on this and we're still going to be here for a while. Do you buy it?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. Not fully. I don't buy it. So I think because of the sheer number of staff that they've removed from campaign, there's no reality where they're actually still working on campaign. Not directly, right? It doesn't mean that they won't be involved in it, but I don't know if they'll be the main force behind it at this point, right?
Do you think any more campaign is going to come out for Infinite?
I don't know.
If you were to guess, yes or no, which one would you be more likely to lean on?
I would lean on I'll tell you what I told Everborn, right? Wait till E3. If I don't hear anything about campaign for Halo at E3, then there is no campaigns for Halo. Period. Because it came out in 2021, right? It came out in 21.
Yeah, it came out December of 21.
A year delay. Should have come out in 20. Came out in 21. You are 2 years post that launch by summer plus, right? 2 years and some, right? So if you don't have, if there was a roadmap for a Halo Infinite campaign, I think we would hear about it at that point. So if we don't, go sit down. Okay. So I think if we don't, then there may simply be no campaign for Infinite. No additional campaigns for Infinite.
That would be sad because I'm really because I've been looking forward. I've been telling my wife, like, I can't wait till they got an update because we're gonna go through this from day one because me and her had to play the game separate, and then now we're going through the campaign together on campaign co-op, and it's just like, are you really like I'm thinking in my head, are you really gonna drop campaign co-op this far later and then not give me anything to enjoy co-op later on? Like, because that would suck.
Yeah, I hope that it really is just reorganizing the studio to be more lean, and that they do have actual plans. But I don't know. Like I last year, I would say I had confidence that they would have an endless campaign because that's what I expect. But this year, I don't know. And I'm diehard Halo fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really rock with it. Books, all that. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't played a bad Halo campaign personally, just me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. It's up in the air right now.
Fair enough. All right, so Dragon Heart Yobi listening closely to what's going on here. He said, "Little man said, he said, little man said, I don't hear you. I want to be on camera too." That's fantastic. All right, so moving forward, I really want to know because you told me earlier that there are so many genres that you're just down to play, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know what genre for you, Pixel Bit. What is the one that you are last gonna pick to play?
Now, probably walking simulators. That's probably like the Myst style games. Even though I grew up on those kind of games, those are probably like the last, like Myst, like walking and puzzlers, that kind of style. That's probably the least enjoyable for me at this point. Even though I used to love that style of game back in the days, but
so did you play Scorn?
I did, and I don't know how far I got into it, but it kind of just like, I'll come back to it. So it didn't initially grab me right away. It looked good.
One of those kind of games that you're talking about. I mean, it's visually impressive. Yes.
It didn't grab me like that because at least like there's no words, like there's not like a bunch of reading and stuff in it, right? It's all environmental. So at least like in Myst, there's like a story in it, right? You can, you'll as you're walking in the rooms, you pick up things and you learn a little story about the game. But there's none of that in this game, right? It's all being told environmentally. So yeah, kind of boring. So
I don't think people realize how old Myst is. It's been around
yeah,
ever.
they don't know it, but I do.
That game's been around for a long time.
There's a
And
remake on Xbox consoles too. It's visually impressive. It's
it
still
looks fantastic. I downloaded it and played it. I looked around and I was like, this looks fantastic, but it's boring. So I'm out.
yes.
All right. So I want to know what would be pixel like of all of this stuff that you've done throughout your life within gaming, which one is probably the most memorable moment that you've had?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd have to go recent. For me, beating Infinite on Legendary, that was great. Like
Solo?
that. Yeah, solo. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
impressive.
an old man. I'm an older man now, so that took a lot of effort. You know what I'm saying? Like it was not easy to beat that game on Legendary. So, it felt good, Like it really felt like it was late night too. So, you had a throughout the house. You know what I'm saying? Like what the hell? I'm like, I just beat it for that. I'm out there.
Hey, everyone's like, shut up. I don't care.
So I think I mean I beat most of the campaigns on Legendary, but that one was extra hard. I don't know. It was those brutes are real savages, So it was extra hard. So
man, those snipers are ruthless too.
Nah, but see those as long as you have the threat sensor, you can deal with them. Like I pop a room with threat sensors before I come in. So once I feel an engagement is starting, two threat sensors into the mountain so I can see where they at, and then work the room from there. So
there you go. Outside.
I had a real strategy for that. Have you played on Legendary?
I played it co-op on Legendary for a little bit. It don't mess around. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick, and you're using that grapple a lot. You're getting the hell up out of there. You jump in somewhere, and then 3-4 guys turn around and look at you. You're like, all right, I gotta go. I'll be back. I'm gonna go grab the high ground real quick.
That and Doom Eternal on the harder levels is like you earn those victories. You earn them. You know what I'm saying? And it feels good once you like it's a combat puzzle. So as you're playing, you realize like, okay, I need to imp first, this guy next. Like there's like a flow to the combat. Yeah, right. And once you get it, you're like, you lose 10 times, and you're like, okay, I understand the flow, and then you beat it. It's like, yeah, I got it, right? So
talk about moving fast. That game is like built to move fast.
Yeah, got to keep moving. Yeah, so those are good experiences.
So I'm kind of curious, like you said that, I have a YouTube channel. I actually clicked on one of the things that you have on your profile, and it sent me to like a song.
Oh yeah,
I listened to that song on repeat for like a half hour or something like that, and I was just like, dude, this is the vibe right here. I'm just sitting here because I was doing an edit for the hi-fi game that came out yesterday. And I have a video coming out for that tomorrow morning, just like impressions and whatnot of what I thought about that game, which that game is pretty styling, looks good. The audio and it's really good, and the fighting. It's not like many other rhythm-based games where it really punishes you a whole lot. It doesn't punish you that much at all for screwing up, other than your score in the corner. That's the only thing that really gets punished. Is your score. Everything else is just like whatever. So but really fun game to pick up and play. But as I was saying, you have a channel, but you don't make a whole lot of content or really any at all, right? What makes you not want to do content creating and stuff like that?
Oh, it's just time. It's just time. I mean, look at this today, right? This is not a very long conversation, right? But I got a lot going on back here, right? In this not very long conversation. So that's the problem. I just like everyone is dinging is clowning me on my slow development for my game that I'm working on, And it's like, it's this, bro. It's just, I don't have time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's more just about time. So,
There's always somebody pushing the elbow and you trying to get your attention for something.
something going on all the time. Yeah. So, I got a lot of respect for you guys who have the time and dedication to sit down and make a lot of content. So I wish I could. But every now and again, I may get inspired and I'll, like, I got a bunch of Halo videos and stuff like that on there that I put together. But some of them like years apart. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe one day when I grow up.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, this isn't the last time I want to see you on my channel because I like the vibe. I love the knowledge and the passion is just, it's real. So I really enjoy having you here today. It's been a fantastic time, and one thing that I don't get every single podcast is I learned a lot, which is pretty dope. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm out here doing this stuff is to learn from other people because everybody likes to think they know it all, but not me. I know I don't know shit. So it's like, please teach me something.
Nobody does that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody does.
Facts. But I want you to tell me some people that are pretty inspiring to you within the gaming space, whether they're big or up and coming or stagnant, whatever. Like, what are some dope people that you would like to shout out?
Oh well, definitely the Iron Lords. You know what I'm saying? Like I love those dudes. I love the work they put in. You know what I'm saying? Homie Boom. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of love for Boom. You know what I'm saying? He's put a lot of cats on. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I'm surprised I haven't seen you on Boom yet. Or have I? Have you been on Boom? Yeah, that needs to happen. So I need to put a word in the Boom. You need to get on Boom show. You know what I'm saying? Another one is K Asante and Everborn. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a great channel. Put the light back on. They have a great channel. They're good dudes. You know what I'm saying? So those like the main podcasts that I listen to. You know what I'm saying? I've run across yours a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? And my man Slow Mo. You know what I'm saying? Like I love their shows too. Like DPS, I love that show as well. Coach show is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But the first group is I'm more focused on those cats. You know what I'm saying? So we need to see more representation in these podcast streets. Like those are the stories I like to hear. From my space. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. That's how I ran into your joint initially too. Like, oh, Ham Solo got some joints, you know what I'm saying? So I checked out your shit. I'm like, yeah, this dude got some things going on. So I appreciate getting the invite on here, man. Because I think this the interviewing members of the community is a dope concept. It's a dope concept.
Yeah, man, and I really got that concept because like getting into like YouTube and stuff like that, what I'd see people get invited on. But then after like a month or so, then I'd see like the same people get invited on over and over and over on some of these shows. And for me, it was like, that's cool, but I'm somebody that likes to hear from somebody completely new. I want to hear, why the hell do you think the way that you do? Why do you do the things, the way that you do them? And if I'm sitting there bringing back the same three people all the time, well, then I'm kind of starting to build an echo chamber a little bit.
I'm getting different perspectives, correct?
Right. I need fresh ideas. I may not agree with all of them. Hell, I might think some of them are dumb as hell. But hey, they're not my ideas, right? They're somebody else's. And to give somebody else a platform, whether they always do it or never do it, to me is really a big deal. It's really a big deal just to give everybody a common ground. So next week I'm supposed to be having Seamus Blackley come here.
Really?
Yes.
The OG?
Yeah, the OG Seamus Blackley, Mr. Xbox himself. He's supposed to be coming onto the show next Thursday.
He's the bread man now.
Yeah, he's the bread man now. Yeah, that's the stuff that he be posting. Goofy ass. But what I like to But what I'm trying to do here is put everybody on the same level. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to this person that has, 80,000 followers, and then next week I'm talking to somebody that got a couple hundred. Because to me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to have an opinion. The person that has the most clout could be wrong as hell, while the person with the least clout spitting facts. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to give everybody that common ground, somewhere to come talk, somewhere to feel comfortable and not feel like they're getting berated, and just let them kind of, let the world know who they are. That's why I'm here, because I like doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
All right, so we only have a few more questions left before we get up out of here, but these questions are just as important as any of the ones previously. And this next one is a fun one to me. It's one of my favorite questions to ask every podcast. And that is, what is your favorite studio? And then what game best represents that studio?
Oh, that's a hard one for me now. I guess for now, it probably would be Bethesda. And for me, the best thing that ever came out of there was Oblivion.
Oblivion. I thought you were going to go for Skyrim.
Skyrim has nothing on Oblivion.
Who done it?
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Like, nah, Oblivion. I just restarted Oblivion, by the way, too, and it's like, it does so much right. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like Skyrim,
and they up-res that and everything, right?
It's quite beautiful in Series X right now. Yeah, it's a good looking game. Yep. But yeah, I think because I like RPGs. I like games that are very layered. And their systems, their system driven games to me are like, it's just those worlds are like, there's nothing like them. Like, they really have these wild worlds. Like, I haven't played the game in a long time, but restarting it, why did I run into a mission that I've never seen? All these years, never seen it. A town, I just wandered into a town that I've never been into, and there's like a whole thing going on in this town. I'm like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So like,
right.
Yeah. So
what I found amazing about that world, and Cozy pointed it out to me, I noticed it before, but I didn't think about it so deeply, which is like, you can go in that game, pick up a cup, run it across the map, put it on this specific rock, play 200 hours of the game, come back to that exact same spot, and that cup is still right there.
Still there, yeah, absolutely.
That right there is insane.
Yeah. The item management in their games are like, there's nothing like it. Like, everything physically exists in that world. Even the thing that I love about those games as well, is that their NPCs have lives. Legitimately.
Very much like Shenmue. They closing up shop. They opening up shop. You watching them walk to work. Yep.
A lot of RPGs don't do that. Like, they give you the illusion of it, but they don't actually do that. That takes a lot of effort. It takes a little bit more effort. It may seem like a small thing, but like, when your mission is follow this person and see what they're doing, right? Because they actually have a routine. They have things to do during the day, right? That adds to the world, right? You see people traders walking down the street and stuff like that. They actually are going to other towns. You're going to see them in the other town. Like,
yeah, they're not just walking in because you walked by and they rendered.
Exactly. They're not in the area just because you're there. You just happen to be there when they're there. It's a big difference. So yeah, I've always loved their.
And it's like, you're actually in the way. You need to move. I got to get to work.
Exactly. I don't have time for you, random traveler who took an arrow to the knee. I don't have time for you right now. You know?
Yep. Yeah. Hey, you kill that person that just sold you that thing. There ain't no talking to him anymore. They're gone.
That's right. That shop is gone. Yeah.
that's insane to do in a game. And I mean, I'm telling you, I'm super hyped for Starfield because of something like that. I mean, am I going to be able to go to a planet and take a cup and put it on that planet and then go light years away and then come back 70 hours into the game and still find that cup in that same planet?
I need to find out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting. Yeah. All right. So we got that out of the way. So Bethesda is the studio that is your favorite at this moment right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Best 3 games that you played the last year, whether they are new or old, what would they be?
Best 3 games the last year would be Vampire Survivors. Yeah. Fire.
Yeah, I mean, it's crack. Fire. It's literally crack.
Literally crack.
That shit will kill you.
I got like 500, like I got at least 100 hours on Steam and on Xbox. So 200 hours in this game that, you know, it's just one of those games, right?
So you don't even hit a button, you just use the directions.
It's such a lazy game, but when you look at the design, it's brilliant. It's brilliantly designed. Like the way they loop you into wanting more and more. Oh, how do I upgrade this weapon? How does this work? How does that work? It's brilliant. So I love that game. The other one would be,
my wife just tore herself away from that game. It took her a long time. She was playing it on mobile, on my Xbox in the front room, on the Xbox in here, on the cloud on my PC. She was playing it anywhere that she could, and I was past her by like 10 hours. And she's now past me by like 30. She was addicted to that game.
And the worst part is I'm not even playing it efficiently. Like I'm like 75% of all of everything on both systems. But it's like, but I'm not looking up how to get the last parts. I just want to play the game. Like it's just one of those games, right? So I'll be playing that this year too for a while. It is what it is, right?
Hey, if you need to murder a half hour, there you go. Just turn on that game real quick, right?
Real quick. So that game, Total War Warhammer 3, Empire, I think it's the Empire modes that they have. So I've been a Warhammer player for like 19 years, somewhere in that range.
Damn. History.
Different Warhammers, to the point that even my oldest son is a Warhammer Shogun player. It's like we rock. It's just, I love high strategy. I just, I need to take over the world all the time. It is what it is, right? But that mode is just wild. So I played the crap out of that last year. I'll be playing it more this year. And then Ragnarok, like God of War Ragnarok. Those are the 3 best games I played last year. Like that game was like, that's all the action I needed for the year. Like, yeah. A lot of orcs got to get killed.
Okay, and then now, what are a few games that you are looking forward to from now on to the future? So it could be even a couple years from now.
Well, this year is definitely going to be Starfield, Fable, because I was always a big Fable fan back in the days. I'm hoping that they manage to do something special with that. Spider-Man, I'm definitely going to play that. I don't know if I'm playing right out the gate, but I definitely will pick it up. I'm interested in that Harry Potter game.
Are you gonna day one that game?
Yeah. I already pre-ordered it. Yeah. Like, even though I'm like, I've watched the movies. I'm not like big into the lore, but the way that game is laid out to me, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a high quality game. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be high quality. Go sit down. Okay, go sit down. Right. So I think it's gonna be a high quality game. I don't know about this Final Fantasy 16. I'm looking at it, but I don't know if I'm gonna day one it. So I mean, I think like a lot of the RPGs I'm kind of more excited for right now. Like I don't know, even though I know I don't have the time for them, but I'm gonna have to find it some time. Like it's gonna take months, but it's just those are like great escape kind of games. You know what I'm saying? So that I'm looking for that. Those are what I'm looking for right now. Forward to right now.
All right, fantastic. So we have about 12 minutes. I'm gonna give myself pretty much that stopwatch, or what is it called, like an alarm, pretty much on that, because I like to try to keep these around 2 hours. But I have a new question I want to implement that I've never asked anybody, that I'm gonna start asking depending on who's on the show.
Okay.
But I think this is a fantastic question for you, just because how entrenched you are in gaming and whatnot. What studio of all of the studios that you know of do you think is in the most trouble?
The most trouble. Studio or publisher?
Either really, because I think I'd just kind of give you more options.
Yeah, I think
You're
right
gonna
now
say
they
Ubisoft, aren't you?
might be in the most trouble. Like,
Did you say Ubisoft?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, I would say 343, right? But the reason I can't is because 343 they still have backing of a bigger company, right? So their foibles will be cleaned up, right? So the three top picks right now would be 343, Square, and Ubisoft. Those are the three.
Square. They
Where
fumbled Forspoken. They fumbled that
you
game.
could tell you could tell that was going to be a fumble from the beginning. Like the writing was on the wall for that game, right? So, but they're kind of been, you know, miss or hit, right? Like that's not good. But they at least have the backing of like Sony and Nintendo to buy exclusivities from them. So I think they're okay, right? They'll still be okay. UB is kind of on their own, right? They don't sell exclusive
They
content,
looking for a sugar daddy.
right? Right? They don't sell exclusive content. They're kind of on their own, kind of too big to fail, too big to be purchased. They're in a bad spot, and it's like, um, you know, do they have the stones to change up the way they do business? And don't give me Assassin's Creed again and again, and Far Cry again and again. Like,
They just need to listen to the people for once. I mean, the people have told them over and over and over, tweet after tweet, Facebook message, post after post after post. People have told them, yo, this is what we're looking for. And they always say, you know what? We're going to go in our own direction. We're going to change everything that you love about this game and make it like a very similar game that you played from another genre, like what they did with Ghost Recon. I thought Wildlands was pretty good, but Breakpoint I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I played Wildlands. I thought it was pretty good. I didn't even try Breakpoint at all. I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, let me put it like this. I really loved Future Soldier and all of those games back then, right? Because those were like vintage, perfect Ghost Recon with like the sync shot.
They were peak. Those games were different from each other. They were hitting. They was all hitting on all cylinders.
Well, they gave you an experience to where it felt so much more like teamwork is essential in that game compared to where the hell are you at in Wildlands? like what's going on over there? Oh, you got downed. Well, I'm about a kilometer away from you. like what the hell? That's not the Ghost Recon I remember, right? Although Wildlands was dope, but let me tell you, Breakpoint. I bought Breakpoint for, I want to say $12 or $15. Downloaded it. It looked pretty dang good. I played it for about 2 hours. And then I re-downloaded Wildlands because it just wasn't it. It wasn't it. It just wasn't. Like when you get hurt in the new one in Breakpoint, like you have to bandage yourself and then also give yourself health, and like when you're hurt, you walk with like a super limp to the point that you it's like you're not going anywhere unless you get into a car. And traversal and just movement is one of my biggest pet peeves in a game. If I can't get to where I need to efficiently and quickly, then I don't got time for you.
Right.
And that's how
great.
it felt playing that game. And it was weird because Wildlands, it felt like I could get wherever the hell I want really fast.
Yeah. Wildlands felt like what's that other crazy game that Avalanche Studio makes? The over-the-top action game that they make with the Hispanic guys as the lead. You shooting missiles, grappling hooks and stuff.
Oh, Just Cause?
Yeah. Wildlands, at least vehicle wise, it felt open like Just Cause, man. Like there's cars everywhere that you can use. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Right. Yeah, that grapple on Just Cause was
it's just
dope. It was
yeah,
really dope. It was really weird flying around the tornadoes and stuff like that.
yeah, with the wingsuit or like stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, super unrealistic. but it was fun.
it was fun. So you
Absolutely.
be back to trying to do just like do something fun, man, or make a freaking action adventure Splinter Cell game like that people have been asking you for forever.
Yeah, forever. And
Like forever. Like how we go a whole generation without Splinter Cell, bro? Like what are you doing? Like,
right.
so I don't know.
Xbox should have been kicking in the dough on that one right there. Just like, yo, we
Xbox,
got history here.
Xbox can't figure out how to get any sequels out the door. Like, where's my KI at? So, like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's my Killer Instinct at? Like, come on, son. Like, buy a studio for Killer Instinct. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So,
all right. So,
yeah, next one.
So yeah, because you're trying to hurt me. But anyways, if there were two video games from the past that are dead IPs now that you would like to revive, what two games would Pixel Bit take and give the AAA energy to?
Wing Commander.
Wow, didn't see that coming.
Yeah. We don't have the concept of a space shooter game anymore. Even though my man is working on Star Citizen right now, which is never getting done. And I did back for $225, I should add. We don't have those kind of games anymore. Like we don't have the space opera games. And the way the systems are now, they would be beautiful, right? Like, the Kirati in the space, like you don't get that anymore. So I would like to see that rebooted as a in the current gen of game design. That would be nice. And then the other one would be Legacy of Kain.
Legacy of Kain. Wow. That's a classic.
Not only is that a classic, but like I don't know how many people played the original Legacy of Kain. Not Soul Reaver, which are great games.
Right.
The original RPG Legacy of Kain. When he's a human turning into the vampire, right? Becoming, Kain was deified, right? Becoming that dude. That game is dope. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a PlayStation. Is that a PlayStation 1 game?
Yep. Original PlayStation, yeah.
No, that game, the RPG elements of that game, wow. That modernized would be sick. So yeah, I would love to see that come back.
Man, those are some games that have never been uttered here on this podcast before. So that is very refreshing to hear. But I got two questions that I ask everybody at the very end of the show. Those are what frustrates you about gaming and what would be a dream come true. First one I want you to answer is what frustrates you.
I think that the overall impatience of gamers at this point, right? We're jaded. I don't feel like, at least like Twitter and stuff like that. We don't enjoy gaming the way we used to. Like I don't think we're not having a good time. Like
it's not as innocent.
Yeah, we can play like I can play a game like Vampire Survivor and have a good time. I can play Crackdown and have a good time, right? Like I still appreciate gaming for game, right? I don't need story, I don't need all this other junk. I just need a good game. I need to have fun, right? I don't have a lot of time. I want to have fun. I don't think we always play games and just really have fun anymore, right? Like the way we used to when we were younger. That's part of it's being older, I guess, right? But
we have like food snobs in gaming now, pretty much.
Yeah, like the graphics aren't good enough. Like, dude, is the game fun? Right? I don't know the last time somebody would tell me about a game they liked and the first thing they came out their mouth was, "Yo, it's fun." Because that's why I play games, for it to be fun. Like, where's that part at? So, when you watch your kids play games, what you see is somebody who's having fun. Don't care about nothing else. So when I play games, a lot of my gameplay is that. I'm just trying to have fun. I'm trying to capture a little bit of that and not be jaded. And I think, it's annoying that we don't see that as much, in discourse when we talk about games anymore, right? We are overanalyzing everything and not just saying, "Yo, I had fun."
Yeah, I know. I mean, picture me as somebody that tells people Forspoken is a fun game. It's just fucked up. like it's just like it is like I played the demo, I beat the demo, got the whole thank you for playing and all that stuff on it. It was a good fun time. Did I enjoy the banter between the wrists, the bracelet and the main protagonist? Not really. Did I enjoy the graphics? They were okay. They definitely wasn't what they showed previously. Right. But what I can say about that game is, it's not a $70 banger for me, but it is worth playing at some point. For me, this is a summer sale game. I still want to buy it. I still want to play it, but get out of here with this $70. Yeah, you're not going to get me on that one. I'm good. Yeah. There's too many other great games.
Yeah, I'm the same way with that. I thought it seemed like I played the demo. It seemed like this. It's so close. Like there's so many parts that you're like a little bit more, and it would be just right.
Exactly.
But I just wanted to get to the fun of it, but I'm like at that price I can't risk it. But I think I think it'll still find its audience. Not as big an audience as they would like, but I think it will still find an audience. But we'll see.
It's the same way I felt like about Callisto Protocol, where it was just like, man, if you guys just would have made a couple tweaks here or a couple tweaks there. Luckily, they did end up making some tweaks, but by that time, the game's already out. I already beat it. You making these tweaks after I beat the game. I'm not rushing to come back to you. There's too many other games to play. I feel salty that I spent $70 for that game. So when Forspoken showed its head, I was just like, not again. Not again, because to me it's like the opposite. Like Forspoken and Callisto Protocol are like the opposite. Forspoken has the fantastic gameplay. It's really fun, a little clunky at times, but fun. But the visuals are just a little meh. And then you got Callisto Protocol that has the visuals are just chef's kiss.
Yes.
But the gameplay is kind of like if you thought Forspoken was clunky, you're literally holding a block of ice when you're playing Callisto Protocol, because it just feels like, man, like this character doesn't move well at all, and it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
The dodging isn't hard in the game. I mean, hell, you can just hold a direction and he'll keep dodging the same direction. It's kind of broken in that sense. But as for like just getting from point A to point B, or trying to attack somebody that's behind you, there's no way to quickly turn around. Like I just got done saying, exactly like you on Forspoken. It's just a few things that was missed in that game. But what you can do with Forspoken, what you could do with Callisto Protocol at this point is just say, hey, this is the baseline of where we're at with this game, and there's no other direction than up, hopefully.
Right.
Square Enix scares the shit out of me, but hopefully. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So did you finish answering that? Were you good on that one?
I finished that one. So what was the other question?
All right, and then what would be a dream come true for you in gaming?
To actually make a game. For me, yeah, to actually finish a freaking project and make a game and get it released. That'd be a dream come true.
So to work with folks to do that, or just to like be your own game?
Be my own thing. I'm in the slow process of trying to build something in UE5, but I suck. Time constraints and I suck. I'm stuck, but I'll figure it out. But yeah, that'd be a dream come true. To actually have something released, that'd be great.
Man, I mean, that's a hell of a dream right there. And I would be more than happy to throw down on your game, because I know you're going to put a lot of tender love and care into it. So holla at your boy when you get a little bit further into it, or if you even ever have like, the ability just to like play it. Don't give me a free copy. Tell me to buy that joint. Because I want to support it. I want to support it. 100%.
If I get into a playable state, I'll ping you in so you can at least demo it. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I'll do a demo. But yeah. Full game.
Yeah,
$20, $30, $40, $50. I don't know about that $70 though, bro.
No. I know better.
Don't do that to me. All right. Well, Pixel, it has truly been a fantastic experience having you here today. I learned a ton about you. Learned about where you came from. Learned about a new console, or not new at all. Old console.
old new console.
Yeah. The Aquarius by Mattel. Insane. Shout out to Mr. Joanna Dark in the chat, helping me out to decipher some of this stuff that's coming out of Pixel's mouth. So I appreciate you, brother, in the chat. Thank you so much. And thanks to so many other people that joined us this evening, including Sir X, Man, Dragonheart, Yobi, 108 Dragons TV, 4GQ TV, Italian Clowns, Infinite Umbra, Mr. Inferno. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for being here. Please make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Share this out. Let people know that I went live today with Pixel Bit, and it was an absolute great episode. Can you do me one more favor, or actually two more favors? The first one is let everybody know where they can find you one last time.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter under PixelBitG. It's at Infinite 365-25299.
Man, you got that switch code at the end of your name. God damn.
I've used your account too many times.
Fair enough. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to have you do before I close this thing out and say peace out to everybody, I need you to describe gaming using just 3 words.
The best thing.
The best thing. Simple, sweet. I can dig it. Let's go. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out to Ham Solo's show Behind Them Sticks on the TSWS YouTube channel. Thank you so much. And as I always say at the end of every episode, y'all out there, make sure y'all are keeping it gaming or keeping it moving. Deuces.
Welcome to the Behind Them Sticks podcast, brought to you by TSWS Gaming. Come and talk to me, Lennard Ray. Come on. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby. Listen, I'm just saying we can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take a chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk to me. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Look, see we vibing and you know it's true. Baby, what it do? Do for me and I'ma do for you. No doubt about it, boo. See, I'm a Midwest king, looking for myself a queen. Ready to chase a dream with a dope self-esteem. You find it in all I know, and that's for real. You get to shaking that ass on the floor and I see what's real. No disrespect, I just tell it like it is. Do you ever want some kids? What your ultimate goals? Maybe I can help with those. The mo was broke when he made you a blessing. You looking like a whole buffet and I need some seconds. You say you had promiscuous ways, that was back in the day. I'll be alive, I say I did it, that shit was a phase. So baby, take this journey with me. You can pick the time and place, this nigga isn't picky. Smile on your face, I know the deal. Sign and deliver after seal. I can see it in her eyes, this one right here for real. I just wanna have a conversation. No, I'm not your type of baby, listen, I'm just saying. We can rule the world, just me and you, if you quit playing. Won't you take the chance with me and have that conversation? I just wanna have that conversation with you. Come and talk, yeah. I just wanna have that conversation with you. Lady, you so far ahead of these others, just like like a ship on the horizon. Picking up on your vibe, signal stronger than Verizon. All the thoughts that I've been contemplating, ain't no time for faking or debating. You the one, ain't no mistaking. Look, I see your swag different. Always carry yourself like you ready and on a mission. I had to know you, I'm Kim. I can see why you timid. Hold up now, baby, listen. Just take that dance with me. I can show you that there's a difference. I'm locked in. I throw away my playaways because you poppin'.